Yeah, sure.
All right. Hi. My name is
Hello.
Teniola Teniola Tayo, but then I'm a public sector consultant, but I think that's all you need to know about me. I'll be talking to Tumilara today about his business and about how he has been able to start exporting out of Nigeria. So a business that is based in Nigeria, but they're now exporting on Nigeria on Amazon. So I'm going to shut up now. Tumi, if you can introduce yourself to us or to everyone that's going to watch this.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Tumilara Tijani. I am the Chief Operations Officer of WOW Braids and Beauty Products Limited. Uh, and it's a company that was founded in 2016. What WOW Braids does is primarily we make handmade braid wigs and export to the US, and we sell primarily on Amazon. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
So how did this start, first of all? And can you give us just a brief narrative on, from the beginning, Sha? So how you
Yeah.
started, even how you got the idea for making a braided wigs. They're quite a recent invention as far as, let's say, our context goes. And
Yeah.
then sort of like a narrative from there to where you are now.
Okay, great. So the company was actually started by my sister. Um, and at the time we were in between startups. Like we were always trying this and that. So like it was I and two other siblings of mine that were always just trying our hands at different things. And a lot of them were not working. But she tried this out on a small scale, and we saw that it was gaining traction in Nigeria. And we decided to focus, all our resources on it and try to grow it out. So I think I joined a few months after she started, about like 3 to 4 months after she started, when we felt like, okay, there was some potential here. And then it was pretty much us sourcing for stylists in Lagos then, and trying to get those stylists to make wigs which we would sell on Instagram at the time. And it was all the sales were all in Nigeria, mostly in Lagos actually, and all that. Um, Due to our what I say family network, we managed to set up a store on Amazon, which you can only do if you know someone, or a member of the business is a resident in one of the countries that Amazon permits, to have sellers. I must state that Nigeria is not one of those countries. So if you're if you're based in Nigeria, it would be hard for you to start a store on Amazon US, especially. So yeah, we had to do that. But once we had that store set up, we started exploring the opportunities abroad, and we started with small quantities, and then we noticed that the demand was growing. So over time, we just increased quantities, and then we moved to Abuja, and then we set up a factory, and started developing in-house capabilities. I just tried to give it more structure, and it's still a work in progress. We're not nearly done, but I can say that initially we had about, I don't know, a total of like 15 to 20 employees, and now we have about like 150. So full time, that is. So yeah, it's been a great journey, and it's still a journey that I'm quite excited to be on.
Well, that's incredible. So let's go back a bit. You
Yeah.
needed one of the members of the organization to be resident in the US. So
Yeah, the US or Canada, North America or Europe. It's not necessarily the US.
okay,
There's
just
a
wherever
list. So
Amazon has an office, like a proper presence.
yeah, exactly. And where they I don't know, I guess trusts that scammers don't. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, we know, and we are not usually on those lists. But then walk me through it. So how did you have to prove that the person, so in this case now, maybe it was your sister that was in the US, was
Mhm.
part of the organization. Did you have to submit some documentation to show that this person is involved in this, or the person just had to create the account from their end, and that was more or less it?
Okay, I think it was a combination of both. It was the person had to be present there while creating the accounts, because they would be able to tell where you created the account from. And also some documentation. So I think what usually happens is that if you're not present if you're not physically in the location where they permit you to open an account from, you won't even be able to open the account. But even if you do that, if you're in the US, for example, and you open an account, you would still need to submit some documentation to show that you are in the US.
Are you there?
So one second. Hello.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, but you're muted now.
Okay, are we good?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay, you can edit the video, right? So okay. Okay, great. So where was I? Yeah, so it was a combination of both. You had to be physically present at the location, and also after creating the account, they would give you like a short duration of time for you to submit the relevant documents to support your application. Yes, it was a combination of both.
So the relevant documents, what did they look like? Did you have to register the business in the US, or was it just the registration document from Nigeria that had her name?
Okay, so I think it was pretty much just personal documentation. By that, my sister had a PR in Canada, and it was just a copy of that document that was needed, right? There was no requirement for company registration or anything like that, because Amazon is a place for sellers, like, and it's designed in a way that you or me as individuals should be able to just pick up something and sell it, so they don't really require like company registration. It's the question they're trying to answer, I guess, is where are you legally there? And that's pretty much it. It's not anything too elaborate.
So you were able to set that up, and then for the first few batches of things that you sold on Amazon, how did you ship them over to the buyers, more or less?
Yeah, that's a very, very interesting question. So so the way we did it was this. Instead of shipping directly to the buyers, we decided to ship in bulk to the US. And then from there, from a warehouse in the US, distribute to the buyers. Because usually when people order a product on Amazon, they expect to receive it within 3 days. Usually like the next day or like 2 days after that. That's like the average time. So if you're taking over a week to deliver your products, you're on your way out, because you're going to get bad reviews and all that. So the best thing we could do was send in bulk beforehand, and then list the product on Amazon when the items themselves had gotten there. And then when the orders came, it was just a matter of shipping from within the US, to the customers. And then that usually took on average 2 to 3 days. So that was how we went about it. The shipping itself from Nigeria was with DHL. We used DHL. And we didn't want to use DHL because they were really expensive. They're still very expensive, but we simply could not find a better option. We simply could not find a better option. All the other options had like zero tracking. Like there was no way you could track. So you just give it to them and pray that it gets to the other side. Pretty much, like there was very little visibility into that. So DHL just gave us that rest of mind. And thankfully the margins on the products were good enough to, cover that cost. So yeah.
So you embedded the cost of shipping. So for, a service provider like DHL, you just have to embed it in the price of the product.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you say that is still the way that you are going about moving your goods from Nigeria to the buyers?
Yes, very much so. We have tried several times to escape DHL because we see like it takes at least 1/5 of our it accounts for at least 1/5 of our costs right now. It's a very significant cost, moving the things around. But there's almost no way around it right now. We've tried sea shipping. On average, things take 3 months to leave this country and get to the US. Like from the issues you have at the port, The actual transit time is usually like 1.5 to 2 months. Before it leaves Nigeria, it's usually like a month or a month plus. So those transit times, when you consider all those things, you have to be producing a very, very large number of products for you to be comfortable leaving your products on the sea, for that period of time. Because a lot of the time when we try shipping by sea, what happens is that the things get there late. And what that means is that we're out of stock on Amazon, meaning that like customers want to buy, there's nothing for them to buy for months, which is like the worst thing you want to happen on your e-commerce store on Amazon. So what we do is when we produce a surplus, we send those by sea, but we always ensure that we have a good number just going by air right now.
But sending the things by sea was cheaper, was it? It just took a lot.
Oh, definitely cheaper. Yes, it was like 1/10 of the price or even less. It's so attractive. It's very, very attractive. It's just that it's very, very tricky and risky as well. So the goal we set for ourselves right now is just let's ramp up production to the point where we can produce enough to sell and send via air, and then accumulate a large quantity of products that we can now send, by sea without having to affect the availability of our products on Amazon. So we're trying to produce some surplus and store a good number that we can send by sea without affecting our business, and then we can reap those benefits. So we're trying to grow that now. Yeah.
So that would almost be like having a warehouse in the US where you just put in a stock of goods and from there can go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's quite interesting. So in terms of the storefront itself, I mean, you just had to list it on Amazon. You had to put pictures and put the details. And then people were able to buy it directly. But how about managing buyers? Because I've bought on Amazon a couple of times, and anytime I want to buy something, I always go to check the reviews. So there's this engagement you need to have with the customers or with the buyers to make sure that they're happy with their products, they're happy with the experience. What does that look like?
Okay, so I think if you're selling on Amazon, you have two options. You have FBA, which is called fulfilled by Amazon, and you have FBM, which is called fulfilled by merchant. So those are two fulfillment options you have. And what those two options represent is pretty much, do you want Amazon to handle all your customer service and returns and shipping and all that, or do you want to handle it by yourself, right? If you're gonna tell Amazon to handle it for you, you're going to pay them per product for it, right? So we opted to just let Amazon handle it, because we've seen that they tend to favor products that they are handling, because I think it makes them more money, right? So you see that your product is just selling faster when they are handling everything for you, right? So yeah, we opted for that because we have a very lean team, and we don't really have that much expertise in. I mean, we are good on manufacturing, and we wanted to focus on manufacturing and just specialize in that field and not have to worry about like customer service and all that. Yeah, because we felt like Amazon knows their customers much better than we would. So yeah, let's just outsource that. So that's how we're going about that. So we don't worry about that too much.
Okay, so does this mean that the plan to ship in a lot of goods, a lot of stuff to the US, are you more or less shipping it directly to Amazon, or it will still be in your custody or in custody of someone from your end, and then you go to Amazon per time? Or do you just give everything to Amazon and then they handle it?
Yeah, so we don't give everything to Amazon, and we don't want to, because it costs more to store all your products at Amazon. So what we do is this, we send in bulk to a warehouse, to our warehouse in the US, which we rent, from a different company or whatever. We send in bulk and store there. Those guys are much cheaper than Amazon. And what we do is that when we see that the quantity of a certain product is going down, we now replenish. So we send to Amazon. Yeah. So that way, so far, is the most cost-effective way for us. If you send everything to Amazon, it would just be a lot of charges you get at the end of the day for storage. Yeah. So, but we just try to ensure that when things are running out, we still just replenish, and that way it's flowing like that.
Okay. All of it sounds fantastic. It sounds like, a dream. I mean, you mentioned that you guys started from about 20 staff and now you have what, 120, or did you say 120 or 150 people?
Yeah,
So you're
150.
full time.
Thankfully, yeah.
So you're manufacturing, these braided wigs and really adding value in that way. So I think my final question to you is more what your advice would be to people. So we have a number of small scale entrepreneurs here, manufacturing one thing or the other, whether it's fashion designers trying to sell clothes or people that are making bags or shoes, or whether it's crafts, and I mean, we're all limited by the local market when we don't make the efforts to expand these markets. And of course, we know that disposable incomes here are quite low. But when you expand out of these markets that are suffering with the dollar rates, suffering with cost of and just suffering everywhere, and then just access some other markets where they have more to spend on these things, it may mean a lot for the scale of their business. So what would you say to them in terms of trying to do what you're doing? Like, what would be your advice to these guys?
I would say standardization is key. If there is, because I think it is possible for, even though Nigeria is not on the list of places where you can get on Amazon from, it's possible to find your way around that. If you invest enough time into it, it's not that difficult. There are actually companies that might even be able to do it for you if you check. However, I think the biggest challenge that we faced and that we're still facing as we sell on Amazon is standardization of products. How do we ensure that the product that the customer bought today is the same as what they bought tomorrow? How do we ensure that? And that to me is the biggest challenge that anybody trying to get into this space is going to face, because it's different from offline sales in the sense that, when you're offline, like if you think of the typical Nigerian markets, it usually involves a lot of conversations like, oh, this one, the quality is like this, or oh, this one is, and the seller can pretty much explain away whatever defects the product has or why the product is different and all that. But with e-commerce, there's no conversation, there's no avenue for any back and forth. So all the customer sees and all the customer knows about you is your product, and that's what they're going to base their judgments on. And also with e-commerce, because there's no relationship, there are very, very few second chances. If a customer is unhappy with your product one time, they're probably never ever going to come again, and they'll probably leave a bad review. So it's crucial that standardization is focused on. You need to ensure that whatever it is you're making, you can replicate that at scale, and you need to invest a lot in that. You need to factor that in while you're planning what to make, because certain things are harder to standardize than others. So I would say that is the biggest thing that needs to be done here, like in Nigeria.
So no anyhow behavior like we often do sometimes,
Yeah, exactly.
Quality and consistency of outputs. I guess as a closing thought, one thing that you forgot to mention is that you're also an inventor. I don't think you mentioned that. So
yeah.
even as you mentioned the standardization, I know that you were a big part, of trying to do that for your company, for your business, where you always came up with would you call it a gadget or like a machine, like a thing?
I would call it a contraption.
A contraption.
It's a machine. It's hard to categorize it, but yeah, it is a machine because it runs on electricity, right? So yeah, so I invented this machine to actually help solve this standardization problem. I named it the hair twisting machine, for the lack of a better term and whatever. But yeah, what it does is that it makes it easy for anyone who doesn't know anything about twisting hair to twist hair. And what that means is that we've been able to involve young adults, like people who just finished secondary school or in between secondary school and university, people who don't have the skill required to make hair. They can make hair now, and they can do that and save up a bit and go to school. I can think of one guy who was with us about 2 years ago. he was about to get into like 100 level then in Amadou Bello, and so he just came. He worked with us for like 3 months, and he was like, "Oh yeah, he's going to school." And I was happy. I was like, "Oh great, like that's fantastic." I'm happy that this place is supporting people when they need to get that support. And I saw him, I think, last week at the factory, and I asked him why he was here, and he said, "Oh, the ASU strike. He wasn't doing anything at home, so he just came." So I'm happy that that contraption or that invention allows young people to make something, while they're less busy, So I think it's something that I'm really proud of, and yeah, I tend to forget it, but yeah,
you should definitely not forget it. You should have named after yourself the Tumi hair contraption,
oh.
the hair twisting contraption.
Maybe I'll do that.
Tijani,
I might do that.
Yeah. Just put your brand on its stamp.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Sort of
I think I might do that. Yeah.
But this is amazing. I mean, from the very first time you told me about these things, I think how impressed I was and just how amazed.
Yeah.
There's a show where the lady likes to say amaze balls, right? It's amaze balls.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Teni.
Manufacturing, it's what job creation, and also you guys are bringing in dollars because people are buying you, and then you're bringing in forex into the economy. So thank you for the work that you're doing over there, and I hope that more people are able to sort of follow the same path, and I guess all the best with it, and with the business. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Teni, for having me. Thanks for all the support you've shown like over the years. You're always like really curious to know like what's going on and everything. And yeah,
it's curiosity support.
It's nice. So, it is now, because sometimes like if you're doing something in isolation and you feel like no one really cares about what you're doing, sometimes you just lose enthusiasm, I guess. But like I know that like back then, like every once in a while you just be like, "Oh, Tumi, how's it coming along? How's it going?" And yeah, I think that matters actually. I think it does.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Tumi. I'll end the recording now, but if you can just stay online for maybe 1 second.
All right, sure. Great.
All right, bye everyone. Just an informal chat. So please, I'm not a presenter. So anyway.